South Africa's political landscape is shifting as the nation awaits the final results of its general elections. The ruling African National Congress is facing unprecedented challenges that could reshape its future leadership and governance strategy depending on the coalition it cobbles up with its rivals for all other purposes. The fate of President Cyril Ramaphosa also hangs in balance. More in this report.
Following announcement of results, talks are underway in South Africa for a coalition government. African National Congress said it will not replace President Cyril Ramaphosa.
Over the next few days, the ANC will be having discussions within the organization and with other parties and stakeholders on how best to establish national and provincial governments that reflect the will of the people and that are able to take the country forward.
Meanwhile, the African National Congress has pledged to heed the clear message from voters after experiencing a historic decline in support during last week's general election. The party's reduced majority has forced it to seek coalition partners for the first time since coming to power at the end of apartheid.
We call on all South Africans to resist the efforts of those forces who want to weaken our democracy, who want to undermine our electoral processes, and who want to disregard the will of the people. As a nation, we will stand together against those who threaten violence and instability. The people of South Africa, as they have shown in the past, will not tolerate any threats to our democracy.
Former South African President Jacob Zuma's newly formed Umkhonto weSizwe party has threatened to challenge the election results in court. This follows a stronger than expected performance in election.
We are going to request for a commission of inquiry into this process, into these elections, in order for us to get down to the bottom of exactly what transpired. And we are going to push for that.
With coalition talks underway and potential legal battles looming, South Africa's political future hangs in the balance. The nation and the world now watch closely as the final election results are announced and the new government takes shape. Bureau Report, DD India.
Let's talk about this further. We're joined by our guest, Ambassador Gurjeet Singh. He's a former senior diplomat. He's been India's ambassador to the African Union as well. Good evening to you, Ambassador Singh. What do you make of what's happened in South Africa? I'm sure the ANC never thought that in just a course of 30 years, all that it did, its leader actually, Nelson Mandela, did for South Africa, the ending of apartheid would be undone in this manner, although it's not been completely undone, and South Africa is neither here nor there with these election results.
Thank you for having me. So I think even the ANC did not expect that they will lose 17% vote share over these 5 years and fall to 40% from the 57, 58 that they had. That is serious. But they have been done in by the persistent problems that ANC governments have faced even from President Zuma's time. So what is interesting is President Zuma ditches the ANC, forms his own party and takes away 15% of the vote, which is almost what the ANC has lost.
Yes.
So I don't understand how Ramaphosa is blamed for all the ills which started in Zuma's time. There's corruption, there's poor power, there's crime, there's lack of employment, general disaffection. So therefore, while on
because perhaps the people's perception is that even after Zuma was taken out of the picture, it didn't really improve the situation. Things still went downhill.
Yes, I think the anger is against the ANC and not against Zuma, because Zuma's new party picks up 15% of the national vote, becomes a kingmaker, and don't forget, in his own province of KwaZulu-Natal, he actually picks up 46% of the vote to become the lead player. So I think this is like what happened in India in 1967, where the single dominant party system was broken and an era of coalition set in. It is a tough call on South Africa to learn to live with each other when during the elections you have been quarreling so much.
Now, the ANC is saying that we're talking to everyone to come up with a coalition, but we will not compromise on Cyril Ramaphosa. He will stay where he is. That is not part of any sort of a deal. We will not negotiate on that. Is that a realistic position to take, just something to ensure that they get a favorable bargain whenever they work things out?
Well, I think the ANC is fighting the political battle under the leadership of President Ramaphosa. I don't think they want to open up the ANC leadership issue now, because that will be very difficult. Secondly, I think this is a clear signal to Zuma, because Zuma is saying, I will talk to the ANC without Ramaphosa, old nemesis. So I think that red line they are setting down. Secondly, I think the Democratic Alliance, which was essentially a party of whites, but now gets the support of Indians and coloreds, they have maintained their vote share, marginal rise. So if they come along with the ANC, you have a very stable government. If the MK of Zuma comes, you have stability. But the third party, which is the EFF, which are the most radical elements of the old ANC, they do not have enough to just join the ANC and give a stable government. So they have to be a third leg if they want to be in government. So therefore, these three options are there. One, go with the DA. Second, go with the EFF and the MK to balance them out. But I think we should not forget the small Inkatha Freedom Party.
Correct,
which has
4%.
consistently got 3.8%. And I think they are pretty annoyed with Zuma because he has taken the bulk of their vote share in KwaZulu-Natal. They could be a small balancer coming up.
Okay, but the DA is saying that it's going to make efforts to come up with its own coalition to completely deny ANC any part of the next government in South Africa. So to what extent does that queer the pitch for everyone, not just the ANC?
I think that was a pre-poll pitch. Today what they are saying is that we will talk to the ANC, but we will also consult our 9 other allies, and we will have some kind of an agreement. See, the bigger disagreements are that Zuma and the EFF want all white land nationalized and mining nationalized, which will really scare away the investor, which the South African economy can't afford. Getting the Democratic Alliance, which is a pro-investor party, on board stabilizes the economy, opens opportunities. But the DA has problems because Zuma wants his health reforms not to be displaced. He wants that black empowerment should not be compromised. These are things which the DA so far has been opposing, so they will have to compromise on. And I think one big thing is that, ANC has been fighting a huge battle against Israel in the International Court of Justice.
Correct.
DA believes that they should not give up the business element of Israel and they should not break relations with them. So there are nuanced differences. I think a common minimum program is what the ANC will look for with the best partner possible without having to change Zuma.
And the constitutionally mandated 14 days of the government has to be put in place. Do you think there's time enough to work things out within that period?
Well, if they can't work things out, they may form a minority government with outside issue-based support.
All right. Well, let's see what happens, and a clearer picture needs to emerge, although for some reasons it seems even the official results have not been declared yet, although more than 99% of the votes had already been counted, so we're waiting for that as well. But thank you for joining us for the moment, Ambassador Gurjeet Singh.